A former WWE superstar could possibly be set to return tomorrow at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. Details now, plus Paul Wight, there's concern for him after his appearance on AEW Dynamite this week. The AEW injury crisis has reportedly impacted several high-profile storylines in All Elite Wrestling. Ric Flair reveals the length of his new AEW contract. Dragon Lee reportedly signs his main roster WWE contract. Sammy Guevara is still not cleared after suffering a concussion several weeks ago. Jake Paul and Matt Riddle reportedly are in talks for a possible fight, and Liv Morgan nears a WWE TV return. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about a possible return tomorrow at WWE Crown Jewel. Now, let's get straight into this because a new update has been revealed that a former WWE star could potentially be returning at tomorrow's premium live event, and it's none other than Kyrie Sane could be back in WWE as quickly as tomorrow evening. Now, as reported previously, Kyrie Sane has now been added to the miscellaneous section of the internal WWE roster after agreeing a deal to return to the company months ago. Now, you might have seen this on social media yesterday. There was a bit of back and forth between PW Insider and WrestleVotes, with WrestleVotes first reporting that Kyrie Sane had been added back to the internal WWE roster. PW Insider said that was not the case. They then said, actually, she had been added back to the WWE internal roster, but that was in the afternoon and WrestleVotes was wrong. Believe who you will. But according to a new report from PW Insider, the word making the rounds is that Sane may make her return as soon as tomorrow's Crown Jewel event on Saturday, November 4 in Saudi Arabia. Now, another separate report had indicated that there were creative plans that had Kyrie Sane reuniting with Asuka. Now, for whatever it may be worth, Asuka is not currently on the card for Crown Jewel. Instead, the WWE Women's Championship match for SmackDown is Io Sky defending against Bianca Belair. Now, another note from PW Insider was that there has been talk also of Grayson Waller appearing at Crown Jewel. Yesterday, Waller posted a tweet aimed at Cristiano Ronaldo, potentially setting up a segment when WWE had previously been reported to be in talks with Ronaldo for an appearance. Of course, he plays in Saudi Arabia for Al Nassr, so that would make sense. He would be available, possibly, but it is a Saturday, so depends what his football schedule does look like. Now, when it comes to, as I mentioned, the creative plans for Kyrie Sane, it gets quite interesting because a account on Reddit, Kermit125, who has broken many accurate stories and has been verified by the mods on a Squared Circle as a credible source, would not be permitted to post on the platform if he was not, has also shared a spoiler as to what these creative plans could be for Kyrie Sane's return. They wrote, quote, "She is signed and plans have been in place for her return for weeks. She will join some friends very soon. No one is ready, ... Now, that last part, of course, would be a strong hint that she'll be joining forces with Asuka, who is currently drafted to the SmackDown brand, whose catchphrase is, "No one is ready for Asuka." Of course, in Sane's previous run with WWE, she and Asuka had been Women's Tag Team Champions together as the Kabuki Warriors, before recently re-signing. Sane officially departed WWE in December 2021. So, again, that's kind of what it's looking like, or rumoured anyway. She could be at Crown Jewel tomorrow. She could be set to reunite with Asuka. But, again, stay tuned when it comes to that. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select has provided some more details about Kyrie's return to WWE, saying that Kyrie Sane is headed back to WWE. Sane was signed quite a while back, but as WrestleVotes accurately reported, she popped up on internal roster sheets this week. Beyond that, WWE sources have said they believe she'll be in the States to work for WWE this month. PW Insider has stated she could show up as early as Crown Jewel tomorrow. Now, Fightful are reporting that they were told WWE wanted to make re-signing Sane a priority this year, and it was actually brought up last year as well during the mass re-signings. For whatever reason, the deal was not reached. There have been creative plans pitched for Kyrie along the way, and her return to the company hasn't been kept a secret. So Kyrie Sane could be back as soon as tomorrow, or they could wait possibly until SmackDown next week to reunite with Asuka. Stay tuned for that. Now, Paul Wight made his return to AEW television on Dynamite this week, but plenty of people have been worried and concerned after seeing the physical appearance of the former Big Show. Paul Wight will be in action for the first time on AEW Dynamite in the coming weeks, but his appearance has sparked some concern. Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega's issues with the Don Callis family continued on Dynamite as Callis challenged the pair to a street fight when Dynamite comes to Ontario, California. Omega accepted the challenge and noted they'd be joined by Kota Ibushi. Callis pointed out his family still had the numbers advantage when Chris Jericho brought out his big friend that he teased and Paul Wight made his way to the entranceway. Kyle Fletcher approached the former Big Show but was rocked with a knockout punch for his troubles. Now, speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that he'd been told Wight's movement was not good during a recent appearance and that it was notable that he was not filmed moving on AEW Dynamite. Quote, I heard that when Paul Wight was back in OVW just a couple of weeks ago, I think guest ring announcer or something like that, made a guest appearance. I heard that his movement was not good. On Dynamite, he stood there, he had big braces on his knee. Yeah, he's a big guy and he's 51 years old and he's had all kinds of knee problems and other problems. But again, he probably only has to come in for look who he's teaming with. He's probably only going to have to come in for a short spurts and everything. He did throw the one punch, but that was it, but he was not moving. Now, it remains to be seen what form the street fight will take on the 15th of November edition of Dynamite, but AEW has in the past presented some matches cinematically, so it's not beyond the realm of possibility that Paul Wight could be presented as such in a cinematic fashion. But what are your thoughts on his appearance? What are your thoughts on the way that his body is moving? You can see clearly he's sort of slanted there. His right knee is in bad shape. He's had a knee replacement. He's had a hip replacement too. What are your thoughts on all of this? And should AEW steer away from using Paul Wight inside a ring in the near future? Let me know your thoughts about that as well. Now, AEW has been bitten with the injury bug quite significantly recently. Now, AEW's injury problems have caused problems across several big storylines in All Elite Wrestling. In recent weeks, a number of top AEW stars have been struck down by injury. Of course, Adam Cole suffered a broken ankle at Dynamite Grand Slam. Jon Moxley sustained a concussion at the same event. Bryan Danielson is currently on the sidelines with a broken orbital bone. And Sammy Guevara is also struggling with a concussion. We'll get to that in just a second. But unsurprisingly, the series of injuries have had a big impact on AEW's booking. Reporting in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer noted that not only have plans been changed, but some storylines have been rewritten from scratch. It had already been reported that Moxley was scheduled to retain the International Championship at Grand Slam, but changed the finish due to the injury, so Rey Fenix won the gold. Quote, the injury situation has greatly affected the booking as so many plans are made and have to be changed, and when they are changed, it's start from scratch and develop new plans, especially since Danielson, Cole, and Jon Moxley were all figured into key things and had so much had to be changed, which created a domino effect on all of the plans. Although yet another injury for the American Dragon is a blow, it's been reported that Bryan Danielson will be back before the end of 2023. The report added that the star suffered an injury in a freak accident during his match with Andrade El Idolo on October 21st, and not 4 days later on Dynamite as first thought. Meanwhile, Jon Moxley, he's since returned to action, although he's yet to wrestle from Dynamite's Grand Slam. When it comes to Sammy Guevara, we'll get to that a bit later on, but things still look quite murky when it comes to the former TNT champion. Now, one of the biggest stories this week is Ric Flair signing a multi-year contract with AEW. Ric Flair signed a multi-year deal with All Elite Wrestling after being presented as Tony Khan's special gift to Sting on last week's Dynamite. On the October 25th episode of the show, Flair reunited with Sting as the Icon prepares to bring an end to his career at AEW Revolution in 2024. November 2nd would reveal that Ric Flair had signed a multi-year deal that would also see his Woo energy drink become the exclusive energy drink of All Elite Wrestling. Speaking on a special Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted the exact length of the contract, asking, quote, so you're going to be part of the TV for 2 years? The 74-year-old WWE Hall of Famer would confirm that he is indeed signing a 2-year deal with the company, saying, quote, yes, 76 and still talking. Woo. Now, in a recent interview, Flair discussed the pitch he ran by WWE, revealing that they passed on the opportunity. It was also reported as well that essentially Woo Energy, they had sponsored AEW, therefore this agreement largely pays for Flair's salary in itself. Now, when it comes to Ric Flair leaving WWE several years ago, Flair opened up as to why he was no longer signed with the company. Flair said, quote, I've been friends with Tony for a long time. I think we talked about me going to work there a couple of times, but I was so involved with WWE. Obviously more involved because of my daughter working there, but I don't work for them anymore. I'm not there for a number of reasons. None of them are negative. I just wanted to be able to do my outside activities. The WWE contracts are really confining and they pay everybody a lot of money, so they're pretty much going to have to do right by what they want to do. I just didn't agree with the formula, the philosophy. Flair would then discuss how his AEW debut came about before discussing how WWE may have taken the news. He said, quote, "When Tony called me and said, 'What do you think about coming because of Sting announcing his retirement and being part of it all?' I'd love to. I don't think, as a matter of fact, I don't think anybody's upset about it but WWE," Flair stated. "I was hoping I wouldn't come off of the opening and I didn't, so I think at this point in my career, people just want for the first time that I'm happy, and I am. I love Sting, one of my closest and best opponents ever. Just to be working with him, we started working together in 1987, 88, first Clash of Champions, there's a lot of history. And then there's Tony Schiavone, who I've known for 40 years. It was a pretty surrealistic moment for me. TBS is where I made my name." What are your thoughts on Flair signing a 2-year deal with AEW? Do you think he'll last out? Do you think he'll leave the company by that point? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments section below. Now, speaking of contracts, Dragon Lee has signed a main roster WWE contract as well. After making his main roster debut in September of this year, Dragon Lee moved to SmackDown, leaving NXT behind. The star signed with WWE in late 2022, but was forced to wait to make his debut thanks to visa issues. Now that Lee is a permanent member of the SmackDown roster, it's been reported that he's also signed a brand new contract. Writing in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer confirmed Lee signed the deal after debuting on the Blue brand. He said, quote, "Dragon Lee signed his new main roster deal last week. Basically, it made it worth him of having signed the NXT deal rather than the deal offered by AEW. As noted, he went to people who knew the US scene who told him he'd be lost in the shuffle in AEW. Previously, people would have said not to go to WWE, given their track record with all the wrestlers who came from Mexico besides Alberto Del Rio. Nevertheless, he decided to sign with WWE, and now he's on the main roster on a brand new contract as well." And we spoke earlier on about Sammy Guevara. We've got an update as to his current condition as he attempts to recover from a concussion. AEW star Sammy Guevara has provided an update on his injury status, having not wrestled since October 1st, 2023. Guevara's last appearance was AEW Wrestle Dream on October 1st in Seattle, Washington. That match would see him team with Konosuke Takeshita and Will Ospreay as the Don Callis family took on Chris Jericho and the Golden Lovers. Don Callis' family would be victorious, leading to the October 4 episode of Dynamite, where Guevara was supposed to team with Takeshita to take on Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega. Don Callis would reveal that Guevara wasn't cleared to wrestle and that he would be replaced by Kyle Fletcher in a tag team match. It would later be reported that Guevara had suffered a concussion at the Wrestle Dream pay-per-view. Guevara had hoped to return on the October 18 episode of Dynamite, though that wouldn't happen. In an Instagram story on November 2nd, Guevara was asked about his in-ring return, replying, quote, "Man, I wish I had an answer. I'm still not cleared." This comes after it was implied on the November 1st AEW Dynamite that Guevara would be returning to the ring on the November 15 episode of the show for this 8-person tag team match. That match is set to be Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, Paul White, and Kota Ibushi versus Takeshita, Fletcher, Hobbs, and Guevara. However, some have speculated possibly Will Ospreay could come in as well. Speaking on the October 18 edition of the show in Houston, Dave Meltzer said that Guevara had a setback, but overall he was doing well, recovering from his concussion. So certainly, we'll have to wait and see. If we get any more updates on Guevara and his recovery, we'll let you know in a future video. Now, possibly, could we get Jake Paul versus Matt Riddle in a boxing bout at some point in the future? Well, there are talks about the matter. Now, despite Matt Riddle being booked for his very first post-WWE wrestling match in March 2024, it seems as if the King of Bros' future may also lie outside the squared circle. According to Dave Meltzer in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Riddle and his representatives have held talk with Jake Paul regarding a possible fight in the future. Meltzer revealed the extent of the talks and the likelihood of a fight taking place, writing, quote, "Matt Riddle and his reps spoke directly to Jake Paul of late regarding doing a match. Paul expressed no interest in facing Riddle under MMA rules, where Riddle would have the experience edge even though he hasn't been active or trained for fighting for years. Riddle was willing to do a boxing match, and at this point it's up to Paul's side, which obviously it always would be since he's the A side. There is some name value in Riddle from pro wrestling and that he has a legit background, but not in boxing. And then there's the potential negative at this point in time of poor boxing against a pro wrestler when he's trying to be seen as more serious. So I don't expect anything to come from this. So the question becomes, do you think we'll see Matt Riddle versus Jake Paul in a boxing bout? Do you even care? Would you care? Would you watch? Or is that not really your thing? Let me know your thoughts about that too. Finally, Liv Morgan seemingly is closing in on a WWE return to the ring. Despite some obvious high points, Morgan's 2023 has been badly affected by injury. Both of her women's tag team title reigns have come to a premature end thanks to injury, first in May and then again in July. Morgan hasn't wrestled since the July 17 edition of Raw, where she and Rodriguez lost the tag team titles to Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. The loss came after Morgan was attacked prior to the match by Rhea Ripley. The injury angle was used to write her off television. However, it seems that Morgan won't be out of the ring for much longer. Writing in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer noted that Morgan is expected to return soon. The update comes after it was reported that Randy Orton is in line to return at or around Survivor Series on November 25th. Rodriguez recently said that she expects Liv to be back before people could imagine. During the interview, Rodriguez said that she had been in regular contact with her tag team partner. She said, quote, "I know I miss her terribly, so I'm very excited for that, but I feel like time has been flying and she's just been at it on her recovery, so I would assume she'll be back sooner rather than later and probably before any of us could really imagine." So Liv Morgan closing in on a return to the ring. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.